All right, so seems like we are live. Hey everyone, how's it going? Hey Ashant, how you doing? Doing all good? Yeah. All right, so yeah, let's wait for 5 minutes. Let's everybody tune in. So Ashant, just a camera and mic check. Is everything fine? Hey server, how you doing? Um, yeah, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for asking. Just doing a camera and a mic check, server. Let me know if everything is fine. Okay. Thanks, Ashant. So, how has it been? How's everything going on for you guys? Chilling? Yeah, I'm doing fine, server. Thanks for asking. Hey, Rajesh. Good to have you back, man. How you doing? Have you heard Big Dogs by Hanuman Kind? What is that? Big Dogs Hanuman Kind. Oh, is it a song? Oh, yeah, I did. Hanuman Kind. Yeah, this is a song. I don't think I have heard it. Sorry. What was it? I missed out. Why? Why people praise books philosophy but not video games philosophy? I think it's because video games are looked at as a pastime activity. Like they people seem to think that that 90s mentality that video games don't achieve anything. So why would you waste your time with video games? I actually want to react to some content today. So let me find my earphones. Today I will react properly. Suggest me any video coding related that you may find interesting. Oh, hey Priyanshu, how you doing? Yeah, it is noon. I do have lunch plans at like 2 p.m. I think so. Video games are hard. Yeah, if you talk about Elden Ring, then yeah, it is tough. But you know what game I played yesterday? I played World War Z yesterday. Amazing zombie game. Like phenomenal zombie experience I had. Like it's so fun to watch when like so many zombies pool around in a like walls or something, and they try to climb on each other to like hop over the wall, and you just throw a grenade in between them, and it just boom, and zombies go flying off. It's an amazing, amazing game, World War Z. Yeah, hey, mask guy. I'm doing fine, man. How you doing? Yeah. So, just another camera and mic check. I plugged in my earphones. It did not cut off anything, did it? Like mic and camera is all fine, right? I'm not sure. I'm such a boomer that I think plugging a earphone would break. The sound. Elden is easy. Ultra kill is brutal. Oh, okay. Can anybody please help me know that my mic is working fine after plugging my earphones in? Like, are you able to hear me? Okay, thanks, server. So, okay. So, give me some video about coding related or whatever, and let me know if you want me to react to it. Okay. Let's say I think I missed some of the messages. Uh, I think video games, people think video games are just for kids. Elmao, like anime is cartoon. Yeah, exactly. That's the problem with mentality. Like people think video games is just a pastime. There is no future in it or whatever. But they have to realize that esports are literally the hugest thing right now. People like Ninja and Shroud. I'm such a huge fan of Shroud because I used to play PUBG in my college days and I know how difficult that game is. And I see him like kill people like 360 no scope or whatever, and just makes me appreciate him. I know how difficult video games are. If you step into a competitive gameplay, then I know how difficult it can be. Working fine, thanks, bro. React to J Washam coding in interview university repo on GitHub. Fast inverse square root John Carmack. Fast inverse square root. It might be a little too technical to react to. I'm just thinking of a like a video that people can easily relate to. Hello, sir. I'm currently learning web development and have completed basics, but I'm very confused. I should continue learning web dev and learn other things like ML, AI, DS. No, you shouldn't. I don't think right after completing basics, you should dive into ML, AI. See, studying things and practicing things are way two different things, right? You should, if you have completed the basics, I say go into building projects, make a product that you want to solve a problem with, or that has been a current problem for you, right? Don't directly jump into AI ML because you can study AI ML all you want, but ultimately your learning happens when you build something with it. So if you please at least take a look. Oh, okay. J Washam coding interview university GitHub. Oh, is it this one? This is my multi-month study plan for becoming a software engineer for a large company. Required a little experience with coding, variables, loops, method functions, etc. Patience and time. This is a study plan for software engineering, not front-end engineering or full stack development. There are really super roadmaps and coursework for those career paths elsewhere. For more info. Actually, let me fix up my mic a little bit. One sec. The wires are all tangled up and everything. One sec, chat. So sorry about this. Yeah, this should be good. Goggins Army assemble. He's a really tough guy. Like, you have to give it to him. Guilfoyle appearance. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay, so what is it? Why use it? How to use it? Don't feel you aren't smart enough. A note about video resources. Choose a programming language. Books for data structures and algorithm. Interview prep books. Don't make my mistakes. I am curious about don't make my mistakes. Like, what are these mistakes that he's talking? Okay, so let me zoom in a little bit so everybody can read it. The list grew over many months, and yes, it got out of hand. Here are some mistakes I made, so you will have a better experience, and you will save months of time. You won't remember it all. Fair. I watched hours of videos and took copious notes, and months later there was much I didn't remember. I spent 3 days going through my notes and making flashcards so I could review. I didn't need all that knowledge. So please read so you won't any mistakes. Yeah, I mean, it is fair. I mean, it is fair to say that you don't need all of those knowledge cramped up in your head. The reality is that you only need to know how to think like a programmer. Not exactly you don't need to memorize every syntax and every like block of programming ever. So that's fair. You don't need to remember it, but you do need to have an algorithmic mind, so you can solve problems with like, yeah. A syntax is usually, the most embarrassing thing that has been happening to me in JavaScript over the last couple months is that I find myself Googling how to loop over an array in JS. Like such a basic thing, but I have to Google how to do it. Okay, so okay. Working fine. React to okay. Let me pull up my watch playlist. Let us take a look. 70-hour work is easy than grinding any leaderboard in team-based game. That too while solo queuing. See, that is subjective. There are people who love their 70-hour work. That 70 hour first of all is so much already. You're easily talking 10-hour work days, which I don't know. Like if you just look at the time, I don't know if it is totally worth it to work 10 hours every day as an experienced professional software developer. But yeah, this is subjective, and playing games even gets boring after some time, I could argue, because you play one game, let's say Rocket League, right? You play one game, then you play the next one, then you play the next one, then you play the next one, and at some point you do get bored of it. So doing this for a living means that you would have to game at least, I'd say 9 to 11 hours a day, because literally you are gaming, you are literally working the easiest job in the world. So people would expect you to stream your games much longer than a regular 9 to 5 or let's say 9 to 8 job. Why I write code backwards, and why you should too, by the passionate programmer. Can we paste links here, or does YouTube auto removes? Yeah, try it, server. Let's see. But let me copy it actually. Okay. Passionate programmer. Okay. One sec, let me enable desktop audio.
Code backwards.
Once in
I
the
write my
chat,
tests first.
once in the chat, if you can hear this guy just fine, and there is no echo thing or whatever. Hey Banishram, happy to have you back, man. Why are you pasting the same things over and over? Abhijit Rai, size of your variable matters by code dumped. I have built a real-time code editor. Wow. Web development is dead. Nah, hell no. Uh, I am third year CSE student. Okay.
And I do my design last. You do it the other way around? That's crazy. Let me show you why. Hello world, I'm David Scott Bernstein. Creating great software starts long before we write a line of code with how we think about what we want to build. My first step when I write code is to separate out the what from the how. And this happens before I sit down in front of a computer. When we talk to our customers or our managers, executives, we talk in terms of the what. When we code, we think in terms of the how. How do we implement this piece? Versus what do we want to create? This keeps a separation of concerns and prevents us from polluting our abstractions with implementation details.
I think the one thing that comes to my mind when I'm starting a new project is the scale of the application. If I know that my web app is not going to be used by more than 100 people in the next couple of years, then that implementation is a lot different than working on a project that's starting off with 10,000 users a month. Like that's where the difference happens. Usually in the stacks that I work at, like let's say Node.js and MySQL, I usually only keep it Node.js and MySQL based on the number of users. If the number of users are growing, then I do introduce Redis in the mix. So there is a little bit of caching going around. Then usually the validity of the data is also something that comes up. I think the mistake with the biggest websites that have been created is that so many of accounts in the databases are dead already, that are not getting used or whatever, that they needlessly keep it around. Let's say any school website you are creating, and on there students can log in and they can create reports or whatever. Now you know that in the next 4 years, on the next 5 years, when they actually graduate from the school and they move away into college or a job, they're not going to come back to the website. And at which point you have to question the validity of the data. Like, do you really need to keep around the 10,000 reports that a particular student created when they were signed in? So usually in those cases, the scale of the project and the relevancy of the data is something that I take a focus on, based on which I decide what kind of tech stacks I want to have. Let's say that if a client came to me and they said that I'm expecting 1 million users in the very first month, I'd easily go that, okay, you need to go to AWS, you need a load balancer, we at least need 3 instances so the load can be divided in between them. We need a high powered Redis cache in between. Like we need Docker containers so that particular instances of the task can be given to a particular CPU in the Docker containers, so that the overall load of the website is fine. Usually in these high scale projects, the one thing that people miss out on is that you actually have to spend a lot more money hosting it. If you made a project that you are expecting 1 million users a month in the first month itself, and it can only grow from there, the cost of hosting the website will be exponentially high compared to a web app that's only for 10 people and they just want to do basic things, right? So the cost of load balancer, the cost of MySQL Aurora database, the cost of Redis cache, AWS also has that Elastic Cache, it's named. The cost of Docker containers, it's all gonna add up, and it will cost a lot to you if you build a high scale project like that. Scale is not dependent on what tech stack we use. Actually, your tech stack does determine how much load your website can handle. If you build a if you build a million user base project only with a free tier AWS EC2 instance and a MySQL database hosted on it, the traffic would break your EC2 instance pretty soon. You at least need an EC2 instance that has like 6 gigabytes or 8 gigabytes of RAM, and then 3 of it just to have it under a load balancer, so you can be sure that, okay, the load will be divided to the instances so the processing can happen. Then you have to have Docker containers as well, so that individual tasks that require a lot of CPU can be offset to them. I'm pretending to understand all this Jeff talk. Fake it till you make it. No, I don't think in tech you can fake it till you make it. I disagree with that. At some point, you're gonna get caught that, okay, this guy doesn't have an idea of what he's saying. So I'll try to keep it beginner friendly. Don't worry about that. This wire is driving me crazy. Yeah, screw it.
This is the true essence of encapsulation. We are encapsulating implementation details so that we have the freedom to change them later without breaking a lot of other code. And this is how we achieve true agility in our software. And software agility is where it matters. So I have two phases of development.
I think this video, he's talking about himself, which is, I don't have a problem with that. But there is a factor also that you have to think about when you are working on a software project. It's the what size of a team are you dealing with? Are you having a 5 people development team? Do you have a 10 people development team? Do you have a 20 people development team? In which case there is a factor in that you have to know what is the strength of your team members. Obviously, not everybody knows everything about coding. That's just a plain lie. So somebody would be experienced with MySQL. They are very proficient in MySQL. Somebody would be good with architecting the app. Somebody would be good with documentation. Somebody would be good with testing frameworks. So you have to know your team members as well. If you are totally alone, then that's a whole other thing. You have the freedom of doing what you want. But yeah, the team also matters.
That I dive into. First, I figure out the what. I call that analysis. And then I figure out the how. How am I going to build that? And I call that design. When I talk to my stakeholders, I think about and talk about the what we want to accomplish. When I work in actual coding on my own or with my team, we focus on the how we're going to implement this. I believe that this is critically important to separate out these two modalities of thought, because when we do, it gives a much better separation of concerns. And our code is far more modular, far more functionally independent, far more testable, less coupled. And that means that when we go back in to change it, there's less things tying it down. And so it's far more able to be changed, able to be updated. If you build simple software under 10,000 lines of code, then it probably doesn't matter much which methodology you use.
Exactly. So the 10,000 line of code that he's talking about it would really be a small level project. Like I said, 100 user or maybe like 10 users project. So yeah, I guess he is right about that. He does worry about the scalability of the app that we are looking for. Okay, so not pretending to, some of the messages I think I have missed. Can we paste it here? Is learning Flutter worth it? Yeah, obviously it's worth it. In fact, Flutter is very high in demand these days. Seoul Spieler, sorry. I tried, they disappear. Okay. Hi brother, hope you're well. Hey Banistrom, happy to have you back, man. How have you been? Okay, Abhijit Rai is pasting the same thing again and again. For the record, I haven't watched the video yet. No problem. Okay. Hi Sid, I'm a 4-year experienced Azure Net dev. The way you explained about the software developer journey, and it's not only just a money rat race, it emotionally resonated with me. Thanks a ton. Thank you, Visarup, for your nice words. Means a lot to me. Scale is not dependent. Okay, I answered. Sid, your opinions on low code platforms for building web apps. What is low code? Oh, low code or no code platforms. Okay. I think if you're looking like, let's say e-commerce, right? So Shopify already gives you a bunch of tools to work with. Low code platforms to building web apps. Okay, you're talking about building a web app using a low code platform. Aren't you gonna be restricted with the features that the platform offers. Like, let's say we are talking about building a web app. So building a web app could mean anything. Like the out, I'd be worried about the output of these platforms, what they give back to you at the end. Like, is it even good? Is it good code that they are giving you? Are they hosting it themselves? Are they keeping the entire copy of the code to themselves? This is something that I'd be worried about, because in like usual software development things, you can upload your repository to GitHub, and you can only share it with people that you trust or you are working with. But in a scenario where a platform is giving you web apps, are they giving you the entire code? Is my question. Do they allow you to write your own custom code and then give back to you the entire repository? Do they provide good documentation? Do they provide testing frameworks basically to make sure for you that the web app is fine? What is the performance testing of the app? Like, can the app handle 10,000 users every day? I'd be worried about these things when using a low code platform to build web apps. No, it's like keep trying even if you don't understand ASAP, because intuition takes time to develop. From Live Overflow YouTube channel. Yeah, I guess so. See, I I wrote a post about it on LinkedIn. Let me pull it up. Where's my mouse? Okay. My mouse disappeared. Huh? What the hell?
Because you can pretty much hold
Oh, here it
everything
is.
in.
See, I posted a LinkedIn post about this. One sec. Let me pull it up. Here it is. So I wrote this that you are supposed to be confused and lost in the initial stages of your learning. The thing is, right, when something takes a lot of time to learn, it creates anxiousness and it creates depression among students. And I can fully relate to this because I took 3 to 4 years to develop this mind that could think algorithmically and could solve problems using computer science or whatever. So it is supposed to be you're supposed to be lost and you're supposed to be confused in the beginning, and that is okay. Just continue learning. It will take time. Just be assured in that. Yeah, Windows moment. Like, Windows is such become trash these days. It's like unbelievable. Okay, so let me. Okay. Yeah, he's talking about experience. I just like the way he speaks, real friendly. Yeah, he is friendly. Yeah. Sir, I need some advice for my career. Don't call me sir, Deepak, please. I'm applying for jobs internship through LinkedIn, Indeed, and etc. for the past 5 6 months, but still no luck. What should I do? And my stack is burned. Where do you live, Deepak? Because if you live in a city that is not IT friendly, I suppose that is a factor. Um, I'd say apply to jobs outside of your state where you live. So, like Bangalore or Mohali or Delhi or whatever. And if you do get a chance, consider moving to those states, because I hear that work from home has ended now. That is unfortunate. But yeah, in some cases, you do have to take the move to move to another city so that you have a job in the IT sector, like Noida or Gurugram or Delhi, even. Yeah. Oh, hey, Sil Spiller. Hey, Jotaro. How you doing? Learning anything almost is always worth it. Just start. Yeah, it is worth it. See, I go back to my regrets section over and over again. Let's say that you learned C++ and and years later you realize that it was all not really needed. You could have just learned Python and yeah, you could have gotten a job that way. So why regret? You still learn C++, you still learn the basics. That knowledge will stay with you and it can help you solve problems on a bigger scale in other languages. Like we have to realize that languages are just syntaxes, right? Oh, hey, Went.
in your head. At least I could when I was younger. But that has changed now that I'm an old.
First of all, we have to commend this guy to sticking around with software development even in this age. Like I worry about my old age. Like what am I gonna be doing when I am like this age? Huge hats off to this guy for continuing. Like he is that passionate about programming. Like it shows. Like his channel name is Passionate Programmer, and he is that passionate that even in his old age, where he could easily founded a company and could retire from coding, he still codes. Mind blowing. Like hats off to this guy.
Guy. And I really do need discipline to be able to keep me focused. When we build enterprise software, we have to impose more standards and practices because there's more things that could go wrong. Because I focus on the behavior that I want to create and the outcome that those behaviors generate, I build tests for those outcomes which support me when I refactor my code and change my implementations later. This is the secret to building highly scalable systems.
Yeah, I guess testing is a very fair thing to say that it is quite important. But the problem with testing and unit testing in general is that you write some code, you deploy it, and then you write unit tests for it. By the time you are done with writing unit tests to make sure that your app is good, some customer asks for some change, then you go to change your code base. And due to you changing your code base, now your tests have to reflect it as well. Otherwise, let's say a requirement came up where the user has to have one wallet inside the app, and then later it came out that no, we want the user to have multiple wallets of different types. Then at that point, the test that you had written before for checking one wallet will completely fail. It will detect that user has multiple wallets. So now you have to go back to the unit tests software and you have to inform those guys who are writing the test for you to, yeah, this dude is a legend. Yeah, so you have to tell them that you need to adjust your test cases. In which case, this is really a very vicious cycle. And I have heard so many software developers being against writing tests. They say that backend developers should do testing all by themselves. And I do agree to that.
It's not just about knowing the current technologies and frameworks. It's also about understanding the art and science of good design, of the language of design, how we build systems that are resilient and that have the ability to be changed, that have the ability to be extended in the future.
I love this guy. I simply love this guy. He really is passionate about coding. Like it shows. The systems that have to be resilient, that's where the scalability factor comes in. Like you have to think about how many users are going to use your app in the next couple years, at least after production launch. Like seriously.
Yeah. This type of design allows us to change with the business needs, and it informs us on every level when we build software. I also want to point out that separating out the what from the how can be challenging for some people. Sometimes we describe what we want by describing how we get it. But when we separate these two perspectives in our code, it can yield a much more encapsulated system that's more.
I think this has more to do with experience, like separating the what from the how. You can't expect software developers, juniors, to know this. Like they usually are oblivious to this. Like they think that I can't even relate to me being junior when I was a junior anymore. Like when you build this separation out, all the code that you write is with the assumption that the implementation is different from what we need. Not different, is along the lines from what we need. Like the separation that you guys learn when you are experienced, yeah, you can't stop thinking outside of that. Like once you're in, you're in.
More straightforward to work with and change later. When I focus on what I want to build, I'm focusing on my goals and my constraints. I'm talking to my stakeholders to get a sense of what they want and why they want it so that I can think about the better ways of doing what they want to accomplish. I often start with user stories. These are single sentences that state who the feature is for, what they want, and why they want it. And again, notice there's no room for how in a user story because, again, we want to focus on the outside in so that we can forge a strong interface. And this is critically important in software. The code that we build, the method signatures, the way we interact with that code has to be a tight contract, has to be well thought out and well defined so that we can keep a separation of concerns.
Very fair point. Yeah, very fair point to say. You have to think about what the user is seeing, and you also have to worry about how you are making it happen in the backend. The user is not concerned with what algorithms you are using, what tech stack you are using, what is the functions that you are using in the back. That's all for you to think about. And you have to think about how you can make it a fast system so that the user never faces an issue. You also have to worry about what would happen in the failure scenarios. Like that is one of the most important advice I've ever heard from a company CEO that I worked at 4 years ago. They said that good software is not software that can only succeed all the time, but is software which can properly handle the failure cases. All the software that you write has to be written with the assumption that it is going to fail at some point. And modern software, when we talk about it, it's not just a software that you write that is just Node.js and MySQL. It's not just that. You need email, a functionality, you have to go to SendGrid or MailChimp. You need payments, so you have to go to Stripe Payments or maybe Braintree, I think that is the name, or PayPal API integration. You need authentication, you need to go towards Google authentication or GitHub authentication. You need what is that, two-factor authentication. You need to install a library for it. And if you need hosting, if you need AWS SDK, you need to go to AWS SDK. And if you need Docker containers, you have to make your code like able to be plugged in with Docker containers and Redis containers. And all of that has to be written with the assumption that it is going to fail. Some customer signs up, you create a customer on Stripe, and when they input their card details, you need to call the subscription create API. And that subscription create API handler that you will write has to be written with the assumption that it is going to fail at some point. You will hit the rate limiter, or you will hit some kind of 400 bad request. And that's what it is. Anyone else's video breaking? Is that happening? Can anybody confirm? I think it's fine. No?
I often start with user stories. These are these single sentences that state who, what, and why a feature is requested. I try to make these stories based on outcomes rather than the way those outcomes are achieved. I know it's common for non-technical people to tell developers how to implement a feature and what they're trying to
Yeah, this is a Windows moment again.
say is what the outcome is, but oftentimes people describe things in terms of how they want to get it. We as developers have to filter that because we want to understand what they want, but we also want to understand how to implement things in extensible ways. And that's the art of programming. That's the science of software development. And it's something that we got to be careful not to let our users tell us what to do, because
Truly a Windows moment. Like my laptop is breaking today. I don't know why. Some time ago, if you're not aware, my mouse disappeared. Now my video is not working fine. Ugh. You can see it in his eyes. Yeah. It is great to return to basics whenever technologies try and shape you instead of other way around. Yes, and adding to this advice, I would also say that you should go back to developer documentation every now and then. Even after 8 years of software development, I still go back to developer documentation just to read something that I hadn't read before, and with the hopes that it could be useful to me in the future. The thing is that when you use Laravel version 10, or let's say that you use Express, or you use a library in Express, those libraries and the versions of the frameworks that you are using are constantly getting updated every now and then. And it's tough to keep track of those things. So you have to be proactive about it, and you have to study developer documentation every now and then to make sure that you are up to date with all the change logs, all the breaking changes, and all the things basically that the framework maintainers are doing.
We're the experts, not them. We understand how to build software that's maintainable. And so, again, we want to listen for
Is this what we call good software just fixed itself? Yeah, that is the state of modern software, isn't it? Just saw your cursor disappearing and you were like, huh? Use Windows 11 with recall enabled, said Windows Superior. At this point, Microsoft, if you are watching, why not just create an online operating system? Like, why let us plebs use an offline software that you have to inject Windows update into and update the operating system every now and then? At this point, just make your operating system online, that every time you have to log in to your Windows, you have to pay $5 to be able to log in. If you open up VS Code 3 times in a row, then you would have to pay $2 for it. Like, why bother having offline software at this point?
what they want, but we want to think about how to implement it ourselves. So we have to translate the requests into more generic statements. This gives me more flexibility when I actually implement. Now, this implies a lot. So what about all those other details that we need in order to write code? What about the database? What about the UI? And these are important things. There's architectural questions, which are the questions we need to know before we even start, like what platform are we using, or what programming language are we going to code?
See, I told you this. These are the questions that you have to think about. The hardware. Forget software. What is the hardware that you are going to use? More like OSAS. Operating system as a platform. Exactly. SOC means to me in part that backend and frontend must talk one language. Of course, it goes double between client and developer. I think that if you use a React frontend and a Node.js based like Nest.js or TypeScript based backend and use JWT tokens between them, I think, yeah.
Code in. There are analysis questions, which are really about figuring out the what. And then there are design questions, which are figuring out how to implement. We need to figure out architectural questions before we actually write a line of code. And generally, we don't change these things throughout development. We're typically not going to change the platform that we're going to work on or the programming language that we're using midstream. How we actually solve problems and build models are details best left to coding, I believe, because we're in the moment and we can figure things out then more easily. Before I start coding, I consider what to build. First, I write some user stories. And for each story, I define acceptance criteria by asking the question, how will I know when I'm done implementing this feature? And I embody the answer into an acceptance test. And this could be informally by just jotting down what should happen when that feature is implemented, or I could use an acceptance testing framework. I find it really valuable to have a really clear notion of understanding when I'm going to be done before I even start. And this helps me.
Yeah, this is something that junior software developers struggle with, is the estimation of tasks. Completely relate to this, that at his experience, he can easily estimate how long it takes for him to build a software if we pitch it to him. But this is something that junior developers learn over time, and there is literally nothing that we can tell you that can pull you up to speed with it. But juniors do have a problem of estimating. Sometimes when a ticket is submitted to a junior, the fix may be just one line of fix. But to find that line and be able to estimate how long it would take is something that juniors do struggle with. They say that it will take me 2 days to fix it. but then they actually go into the code base and they see, oh, it's just one comma mistake that I have to fix, and it's done. But yeah, this is something that, yeah, estimation is a thing that you learn over time. It doesn't just like happen just like that.
Exit when I have enough behavior. And this is always a problem for developers. We tend to overbuild because we don't know when we actually have done enough a lot of times. We don't want to see our code fail in the field. And so we try to make it robust. But having acceptance criteria that passes when we are finished is incredibly helpful because it tells us, hey, you're done. And we
Yes, Ronak, there are some tasks that you can only give an estimate, but hmm, I think in the first phase of building, when the feature is complex, yes, you can only give an estimate. I can agree with that. Yeah, the almighty, yeah, semicolon. Oh, hey, Code Cracker, how you doing? Hey, Tejasvi. Things are often more complicated than what they seem on surface. Yeah, often, yes. I like that you use the word often, and sometimes it isn't. You think about, like, you just break your code down into small functions that do just one thing, like atomicity in acid ideology says that every module that you write has to do one thing. And when you create those one thing doing modules and you string them together, then you achieve the complex functionality that you're looking for. Vijay Kumar says, are there any free hosting platforms to host a Shopify custom app for specific store, just like how we use Vercel for Next.js? Is Vercel free? Is Vercel free? Vercel Postgres is free for hobby users within the usage limits and is intended as development database. Find a plan to power your projects. Hobby says everything you need to kickstart your web project. Import your repo, deploy in seconds, automatic CI/CD, serverless compute, traffic and performance insight, DDoS mitigation, web application firewall, community support. See, just enjoy it while it lasts, Vijay Kumar. Just enjoy it while it lasts. Heroku was a platform that was free for users. And what did they do? When they achieved enough number of subscribers or users, they just got rid of the free platform, free tier, I mean. So even if now Vercel is free for Next.js, when they achieve, see, the free tier for a product only exists to draw in customers. But when they are on board of your product or platform, then it is very likely that they will get rid of the free tier. It's very likely to happen. So right now, I don't think there is a free hosting platform. I don't think so. There are cheaper ones like Hostinger that you can use. It will only cost you like $8 a month, and $8 is like 8 times 80 is 650 rupees a month. So I think you can go with that. That is the cheapest I can think of. I don't know if there are cheaper alternatives. Free is only mouse in the cheese for how the saying was. Yeah, exactly. That's where Geo got inspiration for their business model. Exactly. Like Geo also made their mobile internet free on 4G for like couple years. And what happened after that? They introduced plans, and holy moly, they are expensive, like compared to what it used to be. Like I remember recharging with 179 rupees for a full 30 days, and every day I would get a gigabyte of internet, mobile data, I mean. And now it is 239 rupees for that thing, and it only will last 22 days. And holy crap, if Geo is watching this, I really need to tell you to F off. Like so many SMSs I receive every single day from Geo. You recharge your phone, you receive SMSs for spending more money. You don't recharge your phone, they will bombard your SMS application telling you their latest offer or the hottest thing that they have going on and asking you to recharge over and over. Like, holy crap, is it annoying? when that happens to me, because SMSs are a thing that I think it should only be used for important things, like something related to your bank account or something to related with receiving OTPs and all. But these mobile companies, they take full freedom in bombarding you with their promotional SMSs or whatever. Like if you really want to send that many promotional SMSs, why not just take my WhatsApp number and promote it there? Why does it have to be SMSs? I'm so tired of like these SMSs that I keep receiving. Like recharge with this amount, recharge with that amount, yearly, monthly, blah blah blah. I remember so many Android custom ROM maintainers used to use Heroku to build ROMs. Exactly, but now that can't happen anymore. Render is also free. Oh, in which case, yeah, use render then. When a product is free, you are the product type. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Easy Lilliput was brutally harmed in your. I guess, yeah. BSNL needs to prep up and grab this opportunity. Yeah, exactly. If they come out with like cheaper plans or whatever, then Geo is done. And Airtel also. Ready to be a product, then pay few rupees. Yeah, I guess so. All my homies hate Geo. Yeah, but then who is it? Like, which mobile provider is good anyway? Whether it's Geo, Vodafone has completely disappeared, I think. Like Geo, Airtel, BSNL, blah blah blah. All of them are trash. Sanctions have made all those passes, sasses, such asses to us in Russia so useless now. We just tell fellows to self host stuff. So that's one plus. Okay, self hosting, I don't know how it works, but I hope it's good. Bruh, they start bothering you 5 days before your recharge expires. Exactly, and not even that. They bother you every day with promotional SMSs and all. And I'm sure YouTube algorithm is watching this video and it's trying to pick up that I need more recharges on my mobile number. They promote on WhatsApp too, yeah. But there is an option on WhatsApp to, just block them so that those the promotional messages can't come anymore. But they even bypass that with SMSs. Like they will be using new numbers, new addresses, so that no matter how many numbers you add in the do not disturb list, it's not gonna matter. You will always receive the SMSs. And they are the company who are charging for SMSs, so they have unlimited SMSs basically. So obviously they use it. Weird. I don't get any. Maybe I blocked them at some point. Or maybe you are really rich, Ronak. In which case, money flex. Switch to BSNL. Really? BSNL pricing plans. Let me see. BSNL pricing plans. See? Next one. Oh, okay. There are no blackout days for the calendar year 2024 in BSNL. Eh? 197 is 2 gigabytes a day for 70 days plan extension pack. Wow, that's nice. 108 rupees is a GB a day data for 60 days plan. Holy crap, it is cheap. Holy moly. Yeah, I'm gonna switch to BSNL. Like, screw Geo. It's so much. BSNL don't have government support, and irony is that BSNL is government company. Yeah, I guess. Self-hosting is basically buying VPS or deploying on your Raspberry Pi. Oh, okay. Okay. Cyberpunk 2024 India edition. I miss any payment because they don't remind me. Maybe they don't do it on postpaid. Yeah, could be, could be. Postpaid, they already know that you are paying. So why would they bother you? SMS Organizer by Microsoft is great in muting promotions. Oh, okay. I'll check that out. To deploy your VPN in Russia, you have to rent a server in Europe, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. In self-hosting, you make your own server with your own hardware. I use my old Android phone as a web server. Holy crap. That's impressive. Didn't Tata buy BSNL? I think so. Yeah. You're north or south? I am east. East. I'm from Jharkhand, so you could say north, right? OMG Marky, what year is this? What is this site? That is the BSNL website. Yeah, it's a mobile provider website. Anyone having issues with YouTube having issues playing the stream, it displays some error and stop the playback. Not really. I think it's a connectivity issue that you are facing, Banistrom. BSNL will be too slow. Are you talking about this stream, Banistrom? BSNL will be too slow because government gave Jio most of the BSNL towers to Jio and for free. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. How's 100x dev cohort? Any thoughts? I don't know. It plays on my end, but have to auto switch to lower quality because Russian ISPs allegedly slow down YouTube now. Oh man, holy crap. Hacker hai bhai, hacker. Midhun Manu. Yeah, I know. Like making your Android phone your web server. Holy crap. That's impressive. BSNL is nostalgia. Yeah, I know. I used to get that card for with 16 digits that had some pre-planned, prepaid data in it.
To move
Anyway,
on
let's continue.
and deal with other things. This keeps me from overbuilding and from wondering when I can move on. When my acceptance tests pass, then I can move on. I'll typically write stories and create acceptance tests for what I want to build first. And once I have a good sense of the stories that I want to implement, I'll start breaking them down into tasks. My tasks follow a different format than the story format. They follow typically the given, when, then syntax. Given some set of preconditions, when a trigger occurs, then some end state or set of post conditions will occur that I can validate against. And this helps me break down a big feature into a very more manageable task. I like my task to be something that I can do in half a day, 2 to 4 to 6 hours, something along.
Yeah, I mean, it is a fair point that complex systems are usually just basic functions strung together. So, yeah, I guess that's a fair point. He's saying that you need to break down a very complex problem into a set of solvable small problems and then string them together. Yeah, that's the ideology I also follow. If you have watched my coding streams before or any coding videos that I have posted before, you will see that I write small functions and I just string them together in the MVC architecture. It's called tax rebate, my guy, for Geo people. Okay. Mithun Manu, message retracted. Just got the promotion SMS. I know they're listening. I know they're listening. See, I called it out. I have 1 year of work experience. I was made to work on front end but interviewed for back end role. I'm thinking of asking to work on back end. What do you think? Currently, there's a less work on front end. Yeah, go for it. It's nice to be working in change your stream basically to back end. Yeah, let's continue.
Those lines, and integrate and get into the build that fast. And I like to integrate code every single day if I can when I'm developing. When I write my stories, I'm defining my tasks fairly broadly. I'm mostly focused on the trigger and what the method signature needs to look like. This is the extent of the analysis that I do before coding. Once I have a user story and I think of it as a placeholder for more details to come later, then I dive into development. And notice I have not yet thought about implementation. I'm not thinking about the UI. I'm not thinking about the database. I'm not thinking about how I'm going to access the system. I'm only focused on what I want to accomplish, what the story is supposed to achieve, what I want the system to do. And once I understand the what I want to have happen, then and only then I focus on how I'm going to implement it. So I got my story. I got my idea of what I want to build. I got a good sense of that. And then I fire up my IDE. And the first thing I do after I set up my project is to write my first unit test. I do test-driven development. And so thinking about the interface to start has helped me a lot because that's the very first thing I need to do.
Okay, test-driven development. Test-driven development. Nice. TDD. Nice. What happened, Vint? Did you apply speed up? Yes, I did. It's a 22-minute video and I'm saying so many things in between. Prachi says, Maza aaya bhaiya last video mein. Thank you, Prachi. Means a lot. And yeah, I did speed up. Let me do 1.25x.
when I write my test. I want to write an assertion that calls the method that I want to implement, and it calls it with the correct method signature. So thinking about that method signature is important at this stage. Okay. But even before I do that, I want to set up my test environment. And I do that, again, with the simplest approach I can take. So typically, the very first test that I write is a test that I throw away to prove that my unit test framework is set up correctly. So my test is simply assert true, and I pass in false. And that should put up the red bar, because it should fail if everything is wired up correctly. And so I run that test. And if I see the red bar, I'm golden. I know that my test could fail if it needed to. And so I delete that and I start in to write my first simple test, my real test that I'm going to actually
Nah, I'm not gonna do 2x. Otherwise, Wint will faint.
use. And I do that based upon the behavior that I want to create. When I'm writing my unit test, I'm focused on my method signature, what I want to use for my API, what parameters I need, and what I want my API to return. This is an essential step in forging a good interface for my API. And it happens all during the red bar phase of test-driven development while I'm writing my test, but not yet making it pass. At this
I think what this video is missing is that when you go above the time span of 15 minutes or more, I think it helps to chapterize your videos. So like from 1 minute to 3 minutes, I'm talking about this topic, 3 minutes to 5 minutes. So we can jump around and we can really get into what we are
this
interested
point, I'm
in.
thinking about a lot of things. I'm thinking about how I want to call my API, what it's supposed to do, and what it's supposed to return, or what observable results it's supposed to create in the system that I can verify. I put all this information into my API call, and I call that API for my test. And I let the system then generate a stub for my API. My stub typically returns a default value, and I
2023 passed out, still haven't got a job. What should I do? Just keep applying, bro. Cuny Panda. There is nothing really that you can do like separately that will give you any sort of advantage or whatever. Just keep applying to more jobs and be open to moving to another city in case you receive a job offer from like Bangalore or Mohali or wherever. Yo, I have started coding recently. I face a lot of problem with logic building. What should I do to improve it? Feel demotivated. Yeah, exactly. Which is where I would go to my LinkedIn and show you this article that I wrote. You are supposed to be confused and lost in the initial stages of your learning, and that is normal. It happens to all of us. Nobody has ever born onto this planet writing Python scripts, right? We all have to learn from scratch. We all have to, put our times in. So you are in that phase. Don't feel motivated. Just keep working hard. You will get there. Hello, sir. I'm in 2023 CSE grad, worked 7 months in startup, non-coding roles, then laid off. Now coding is so saturated and I'm thinking of trying to get in cybersecurity. Your opinion on this? Saturated mention, saturated mention. No, it's not saturated. If you like coding, do coding. If you want to go in cybersecurity, go in cybersecurity. No one cares. Give the guy a break. He old. I suppose, yeah. I'm being a dick about it. Yeah. But like how many videos has he posted? 41 videos. Like at some point, that's the natural progression, right? RDJ is returning to MCU as Doctor Doom. Yeah, I know. They are just milking RDJ at this point, isn't it? Like there are so many actors out there that could perform this role, but they're like, nah. RDJ is a cash cow, so we will use him. Right? Do you agree? Dear sir, I have tried to prepare for government jobs. Can I switch in IT? Ah, of course you can. Many people around me saying that if you cannot crack government job, then you cannot crack IT because IT is tougher than government job. Ah, full disagree. Nah, full disagree. IT is easier than government job because IT really is a free land where you like for a government job, there is a gate that you have to go through, which is the exam basically to get selected. But IT is just a no man's land. Just go to a company, apply for it, get interviews, get rejected, focus on what you did wrong, improve it, and get a job. There is no such thing called giving an exam for cracking IT. So hard disagree on this analogy that if you cannot crack government job, you cannot crack IT. Peak Cinema. Yeah, of course. Hey, good afternoon to you as well. I can't say your name. Anyway, I would call you India. What is the next Shopify project you're posting on the channel? I think I will do Shopify theme app extension because I am receiving a lot of requests for it. I will post a theme app extension that will be connected to the backend along with a checkout UI extension that will be connected to the backend, and you can, manipulate things around with it.
Make my test check for a different value so I can see the test fail when I first run it. The red bar comes up and I see, I got the red bar, and I celebrate because I've achieved so much. I understand what I want to do. I understand what my API is supposed to do. I understand the parameters it's supposed to pass in and what it's supposed to return back. I've gone pretty much halfway to finishing up my API, and I haven't even gotten the first line of code written, just the method signature. Okay, now I know what I want to build. I got the method signature. I know the return value, and I'm ready to start to code. I'm ready to start to dive into the how. Okay, now that I know what my APIs should do, what my parameters are, and what it should return, I can start focusing on how to implement this behavior. Now that I have a failing test and a dummy API call, I'm almost ready to start focusing on implementation detail. I just have one more thing to do, which is to make my failing test pass, because I only code and write production code in green bar when I have all my tests passing. So I'm going to, at this point, take the simplest possible implementation to turn that red bar into the green bar. And oftentimes that means dummy implementation. So if my test is 1 plus 1, and I'm expecting the value 2 to be returned, and my test, my stub now returns 0, I just return it. I just force it to return the hard-coded value 2. And boom, I got the green bar. Of course, I'm going to change it later, but this serves my purpose for the moment, which is to bring me into green bar. And now I can start to think about how to actually implement. In this case, it's addition, right? 1 plus 1 is 2. That's easy to implement, but maybe it's something much more complex.
See, the first comment on this makes so much sense. I feel like this video makes a lot of sense when you already know what he's talking about, but if you haven't lived it or been in the situations enough, it can be cryptic. Exactly. I would say that this video is for experienced developers or somewhere along intermediate developers who are about to, become experienced. Like, you have to have at least 2 or 3 years of experience to watch this video and understand what he's really saying. I think, yeah, that makes sense. Do you think it's possible to get a system admin job as a fresher? No professional experience in IT. Yeah, that's what a fresher is. Yeah, why not? System admin, sysadmin. I would say get the certification from Cisco. I think they offer a certification for network engineering and sysadmins. Get that. I think that should help. I think cybersecurity is very broad. There are so many types: embedded systems, web security, OS security, etc. It's just like development where we have front-end, back-end compilers. Yeah, exactly. Every stream has so many like paths you can take. So yeah, makes sense. TDD feels overrated, especially for stuff like APIs. I would agree with that. Yeah. I don't necessarily do test-driven development. I do vibes-driven development. Yeah, I'm so funny. 6-7 LPA job. Is DSA necessary for 6-7 LPA job as a fresher? Or how much DSA is needed? Your question, both of those questions that you asked are such wrong questions. There is no advice for specific salary packages, and there never will be. There is no advice that I can give you that can guarantee a certain amount of money, or anyone else for that matter. Nobody can tell you a certain specific advice that can give you 5 LPA. And if they give you a different set of advice, it will get you 10 LPA. Or a different set of advice that it can get you 50 LPA. There is no such thing called money related advice. That, yeah, I need 10 LPA job. What should I do? Like, bullshit, what should I do? I don't know. And the next thing, how much DSA is needed? There is no bar for it. If you can crack interviews, if somebody throws a question at you that you have never heard before and you are able to solve it on the fly, then yeah, that is how much DSA you need. Your take on Ruby and Rails, is it really that slow? Can get some freelance jobs in ROR. When did I say it's slow? I never said that it's slow. Yeah, I mean, Ruby on Rails is relevant. I said that I don't want to learn Ruby on Rails because of the experience that I have already in Laravel and Node.js. I feel like I don't need Ruby on Rails because what the problems that I can solve with Ruby on Rails can also be solved by Laravel or Node. So I don't need Ruby on Rails in that sense. It's not slow. I never said it's slow. Yeah, server. Bye. Happy to have you stop by and make projects with my own ideas. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Array gets you 5 LPA, tree gets you 6 LPA, and queues get you 7 LPA. Yeah, I suppose.
And if it is, this is the time that I start thinking about real test cases. I think about
Oh, wait a second. I forgot one. I have tried applying for walk-in interviews with recommendations, still got rejected. Why is that? How should I improve? See, this is something that you need to ask the hiring manager who interviewed you. Only they can say that what they were looking for in you that you lacked. So try to get some feedback from the companies when you get rejected. I hope that would be helpful to you. All right, let's continue.
a simple test case, I implement that. I think about maybe another more complicated test case if I don't understand it yet. And I write test cases until I fully understand the algorithm. And for me, that's usually 2 or sometimes 3 times. 3 test cases, usually I can triangulate a solution and understand. Okay, so I'm basically...
State government jobs also need you to pass an exam. The entry bar of any government job requires you to prepare for an exam and clear it. Only then you get it.
creating dummy implementations.
And gate, I did not mean the gate exam. I meant like a door, you know? So yeah, that's what I meant.
Just to get to the green bar and see some possible test cases. When I see those test cases, that helps me understand how to come up with the real implementation. Okay. I'm designing how my API should behave. And once I understand its dependencies and I have a method signature, I can start really diving into implementation. I also have all my tests running, and this supports me because I'm in green bar, so it's safe. And if I make a mistake and change the end result of part of the API that I'm building, I'll get the red bar, and I can immediately back out that change. And that is incredibly valuable because I make these little mistakes many times throughout building my code. And if they were to escape, and I didn't notice that, then oftentimes that would either be a problem in the field or, the testing organization would come back and I'd have to ramp back up and try to find that bug, and it could take a while. In the moment, I can fix it instantly. So that's really, really powerful. And it's one of the things that, people who try test-driven development get really excited about. They see the value because if you can fix a bug in half a second versus half a week, it makes a big difference, especially when you got a pile of them. Yeah. So I have all my tests running. I'm in green bar. I have my method signature. I have maybe a couple of different example test cases, and those are what my tests are. My assertions are
Don't ask weird questions, the Rosen, please.
examples of what I want to build. And that helps me really get clear on what has to happen. And so I just work to get it green again. I work to get the red bar green. And that's how I implement. That's how I implement the how. I'll start with a simple implementation. And I learned this trick from Llewellyn Falco, one of my colleagues. I'll start after I write my test and I got my test failing. Then I think about what are the steps to make this test pass. And oftentimes I'll write that out in English. As comments. So I'll comment out and say either step 1, step 2, step 3, etc. And I'll list that so I can see it there in front of me in the API. Here's all the steps. And then one by one, I'll go through each step and delete the comment and replace that comment with the actual code to make the step work. And I'll do that one by one until I get the entire API working. All my comments are gone, all my code is there, and it's running. All right. So then I look at the implementation and I say, okay, it works, fine. Do I have other tests that I need to also implement? And typically, once I get 1 or 2 more tests to implement, I'll see the pattern. I'll see the big picture. I'll discover the abstraction. And that will help me determine the design. Usually, I like to design with a couple of examples because those are real things that I can test my design against. So I start with a simple implementation. I write out my steps in English comments, and then
Sir, I wanted to ask question. Yeah, go ahead, Arafat. Go ahead, ask it. I'm here to hear you guys. Yeah, go ahead.
I delete each comment as I implement each comment. And this leads to a very simple implementation that calls out each step. If I only need to do something once, I typically just code it up concretely. And when I need to do something similar a second or third time, that's when I consider applying a design pattern or using another technique to help improve code quality. I use the code quality that I'm working with as my test, as my indicator as to whether I need to change my design or not. When I need to do something similar a second or third time, I'll consider applying a design pattern or using another technique to improve code quality. And this is where I do the bulk of my design. When I already have a simple implementation, when I already have several unit tests running and green, because this is the safest time to code. All our tools are there and running and there to support us. If I don't have my tools, if I can't compile and I'm trying to write code, it's like I'm trying to code in the dark. It's like I'm coding with my monitor off or blindfolded. I need all my tools. I need my code to compile so that I can see if I make a mistake. And not just to compile, because the compiler can only tell me syntax errors. I need good unit tests that can tell me all the other kinds or most of the other kinds of errors. And good unit tests can if we write good tests. And this is the key. The key.
See, this is where the problem is. The problem with this world is that it doesn't want to invest time in creating good software. Corporate will never allow you to sit at your desks and completely revel in your creativity in creating code like how he is describing over here. This is the reality that we have to live in. That whenever a client comes to you with a software project or whatever, they expect it to be done as quick as fast as possible. They want to spend the littlest amount of money. They want the output as quickly as possible, and they want the quality to be good as well. And what the clients don't realize is that all three things, good, fast, and cheap, doesn't happen. You can have two of those things, but the last thing won't be there. You can have something good and fast, but it's not going to be cheap. You can have something good and cheap, but it's not going to be fast. And you can have something fast and cheap, but it's not going to be good. And that's the reality that we have to live in, that the mentality of people who hand out projects to software developers, they want to spend the least amount of money as possible. They want to get the output as fast as possible. And that does put us in a state where these practices, like how he's describing test-driven development, that gets thrown out the window. It just completely gets obliterated with the design patterns that we use. We write whatever we want because all that my manager is looking for is the completion of the project. They don't care about the creativity or my skill level or what kind of patterns I'm using. Some customer walked in, they said that they want this project, and the goal is to complete the project. The goal is never to walk down this path of perfection in the corporate sector. And that is something that you will see in your corporate journey when you start it. When you walk into a company and you start reading other people's code, you will see a lot of spaghetti code written by other software developers that will drive you crazy. This is why I mentioned it, that if you don't have a passion for coding, you're not going to care about writing fast code, but even in that fast code, you're not writing spaghetti. And this is what happens with people who are in the industry for just for the money. When they are in the industry just for the money, they write whatever they want. They will write a 200-line function sequentially because all they don't care about the output. They care about the completion of the project. And how he's saying that unit tests and everything, there are companies that want to invest time for good software, but the reality is, I'd say 98% of companies don't think this way. They say we want this feature and they want it done as fast as possible. They're never going to give you back the code that you submitted saying that it doesn't meet our quality standards. If it's good enough, it's good enough. Let's just deploy it. And this is why the state of products in the modern software engineering industry is so trash, because nobody cares about the implementation or how software is written, but they care about what is the output of the product. Yeah, so what he is describing over here is a very ideal scenario. Ideally, we should write test-driven development. Ideally, we should implement a design pattern. Ideally, we should write a bunch of unit tests for our application. But the reality is, the moment the sales guy walks in and he asks for that last minute small change, that completely breaks everything that you have done so far, right? Yeah, thanks, Curie Panda. What I meant was, don't you think a faster production framework like ROR will help to make the feedback loop with the end user faster? Not really. Node.js is just fine. You don't have to. I mean, if you want to use Ruby on Rails, go for it. But yeah, I don't think using Ruby on Rails is like that golden key that you need in your life. Nah. Really like Theo's opinions on unit tests. Okay. Sir, I have confusion choosing domain. Don't call me sir. Vinayak. I have around 2 years of experience in SOC analyst cybersecurity in TCS, but I spent more than a 1 year in boot camp learning one stack. You spent more than a year in a boot camp learning one stack. Okay. So I suppose lead with your cybersecurity experience and assure the manager that you are the guy because you have a couple years of experience in a corporate sector. Work on your soft skills. Yeah, it should be fine. Arafat says, I have experience working with the Mon stack and initially sought jobs in that field but was unsuccessful. I then received a referral for a .NET position and I'm currently learning .NET. I'm unsure. See, Arafat, this is where you have to put in the number of hours that you have to put in. Work hard like crazy. Even after your 8 hours job has ended, still work a little couple hours more for the learning sake of it. .NET has an incredible future. Just trust me on this. .NET MVC. If you get there, you will get jobs with Microsoft very easily because there are not many good MVC .NET developers out there. And I do mean ASP.NET or C#.NET. Is there a thing called C#.NET? I don't know. But ASP.NET MVC is a lucrative field you can go in. Whether to continue with .NET or pursue opportunities in Monk, I say continue with .NET. Please tell me, is it possible to switch companies in future in coding or cybersecurity field? Yeah, it's always possible. Sorry about that. Sir, I have fallen in love with Linux when I entered the web dev learning journey about 1 year ago. Now I am confused that if I focus on Linux, would I be able to land a system administrator job without? Yeah, I mean, it's good for you because all the production environments use Linux. So it's good for you that you fell in love with Linux. Congratulations for that. It's good for you. But yes, it's sysadmin, but you are learning web dev and you're trying to land a system admin job. It's a little weird. Try to get a development job first. Any good resources to learn from your experiences, please share. It's called developer documentation. Always go back to developer documentation. I cannot stress this enough. I don't think companies should care about design systems or code quality. Sometimes making something in less time can mean competitive edge or bragging a client, even when it creates a spaghetti. Yeah, exactly, Ronak. That is what I meant. Companies don't care about the code quality and the implementation details. They just want the software done as fast as possible. And this is where it falls on our responsibility as software engineers to at least hopefully write some code that is maintainable in the future. Like rather than going for spaghetti, at least go for somewhat or less spaghetti. Yeah. I was thinking like मैं downgrade हो रहा हूँ. Thanks very much. Nah, bro. No, you're not getting downgraded, Arafat. I can assure you, you are not getting downgraded. Ebenezer Teshom says, I changed like 4 jobs in a year since I graduate. How can I make Nutlog ban my resume and interview? Why did that happen, Ebenezer Teshom? 4 jobs in a year might come off as a red flag. So just apply as a fresher again, I'd say. Sir, I am a college dropout and I started learning HTML and thinking of how to learn from online courses. My question is, can I land a web dev job without a CSIT degree? Yes, you can. You can. Thanks, Deep Knowing Gaming. Happy to have you here.
Is to be able to write good unit tests, which very few people actually know how to do. One of my friends and hero, one of the most brilliant developers I know, Misko Havery, the author of Angular, and one of the most brilliant developers at Google, in my opinion. Misko says that he rarely meets a software developer who knows how to write a good test. Remember, he's at the highest echelons at Google, so he works with the most brilliant people on the planet, the top software developers there are. And he says that rarely can he find someone who knows how to write a good test. Now, we all know how to write tests, but what he's saying is a good test. And a good test is not just an arbitrary test, right? It's like a good statement, like a good line of code. It's not just wiggling your fingers, and it's not just being correct syntactically. It's about getting at the core of the issue.
Okay, now that the video is about to end, is there any other video you guys want me to react to? Place the title in the chat.
It's about testing the essence of the behavior, the essence of what it is that the business rule is, not the implementation of the business rule, not some side effect. And so really understanding that and being able to implement that gives a clarity of thought to the way we build software. I think that's one of the most important keys to building software. And again, it echoes this one practice that I keep talking about that is so important, which is separating out what, why, and for whom before how. The first practice that I talk about in my book, Beyond Legacy Code. And I made that the first practice because I feel it's like the core of everything, the core of coming up with a good design, which is to understand the difference between, the domain and the business rules of the domain model versus how we implement them. We don't typically make that.
Ronak, I don't want to milk Theo a little too much. Maybe some other creator. If I keep doing Theo's videos, then it might seem like, I'm trying to milk him or whatever.
Separation, but that's a critical separation. And when we do, everything else gets better. Our code becomes clearer. We're able to extend our software. It's really that freaking simple. I got to tell you guys, and I didn't believe it for so many years. Al Shalloway, and who's going to be a guest on our show, taught me this. And I didn't believe it. So I tested it and tested it and tested it. And years later, I'm still testing it and it still works. So do it yourself. Test it yourself. I was wise enough not to challenge Al, but just to say, okay, I'm going to try it. And I tried it myself and I learned. So try it yourself. If you doubt that these ideas work, just try it and see if it works for you. And I know that there's a lot of inertia in building software, in working with teams and dealing with management. But there is also an art and science to constructing software. And that's what I'm talking about. I can't help you with the other inertia, at least not at this moment. But I can help you with building cleaner code. And that can ripple out and make a big difference. This workflow is significantly better for me. It's much faster than any other approach that I've tried. And it's far safer, which is critically important to business. I end up producing better code faster. Who can argue with that? So what do you think? Want to give it a try for yourself? Would you like to see me demo these techniques on a project? Let me know in the comments. I have tons of related videos, so please check them out. There's a lot more to writing good software than just separating out concerns. And we're going to dive into them. So until next time, happy coding. Ciao.
This is a great video. Yeah, but it does feel like you have to be experienced already to be able to relate to what he's saying, right? Any other video you guys want me to react to? This guy is such a clown, isn't it? Siraj Raval. My apology. This is where he got caught
that I can help people.
This is where he got caught plagiarizing.
Sorry, let me know in the comments. I'll add it. There was a lot of repositories I had to go through. So how am I going to do better? I thought about many different life paths because this has been a huge emotional roller coaster for me.
Yeah, exactly. Am I going to jail for web scraping? See, web scraping is such a complex topic these days to talk about, where some companies or some website companies don't like AI bots to, scrape their website for getting data or whatever. I have been interning at a startup for over a month. The thing is, I haven't been able to complete any task as of now. There is no KT. I want to know that they will fire me if I'm slow at start. No, they won't. They're not gonna fire you. First thing is soup. Make sure that you email your manager and the higher ups to let them know that you are still struggling with the code base. Don't be in your own bubble and just say to them that yeah, everything is going fine. I'm doing this and this. Don't tell them that. Be upfront with them that hey, this has been a month since I'm interning here. I'm still not able to understand what's happening here. Please, can you make some time for any developer to give me a KT? So if you stay transparent from your end, I think it should be fine. But let your managers know what's happening with you. Graduated with CS and two of the job experiences was tech support and database instructor at boot camp, which is not what I want. The third was because the company can't pay salary. Oh, yeah, I guess that's fine then, Ebenezer Tashom. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Go with that. I thought you left the job. Oh no, you did leave the job. Tech support and database instructor. Yeah, you can say that that was not the role I needed. Yeah, you can say that. And third company, when the company can't pay you salary, obviously you will quit. So yeah, you can go with that. There is nothing wrong with what you said. Richard P says, thanks for your kind advice. So I have learned that the month stack would be able to land a job without work experience, or should I go for other backend language framework like .NET or Spring Boot? See, I say that any language that you learn will be able to land you a job. There is no such thing called if you learn Ruby on Rails stack, then you can't land a job or whatever. No such thing like that. Actually get hired.
This is good for your soul. Listen to this. Built a chess engine in CPP just because I was interested in that. Was considering doing that versus doing web dev project because they're more hireable. But kept hearing you say, do the project you'll actually come back to. And that one got me hired. This is so important, okay? I'm just letting you know, building yet another to-do app in web because you want to say that you know how to use React or Svelte or Redux or some.
Actually, I kind of...
Guys, you're not going to believe this, but a couple days ago, I made the rookie mistake of opening up Twitter, and what I saw shocked me. There's this tweet.
Now even Haskell can get you a job. Let me search. Haskell jobs 2024. See? 80,787 Haskell job vacancies in July 2024. What are you talking about, Ranak? What is the salary of Haskell developer in India? And what is it? 11 lakhs per year. Obviously it is. See, I'm gonna like take my head and I will like smash it on this rock right here. Again, this 11, 12 LPA sort of things with an average salary of 5 lakhs per year. And that's more relatable. Yeah, I will make this community better. I'm here to clean up all the bullshit that these influencers have spread with programming and like these things. Sir, I started, don't call me sir, Ashish. I started DSA in JavaScript lately, even though I have understood the concept of linked list. I'm still doubtful how actually it works behind the scenes, like in depth, not just the syntax. Yeah, then read books. Exactly, this is where you would need books. And you need to study computer architecture to understand this thing. You need to learn disk software, where any data that is read on the disk, like SSD or CDs, how does it work? Because linked lists are a core feature that is built inside the hardware of the computers, basically. Yeah. But yeah, currently I know intermediate React. Should I learn React router and Redux right now, or should I learn backend dev and then learn router and Redux? Which is better approach? If you call yourself an intermediate React developer, I would assume that you know React Router and Redux. That means that you are a beginner in that case. So yeah, go with anything, man. Don't do backend just now. Learn router and Redux. Focus on front end for now. Do backend when you have a good grasp at router and Redux, basically. Haven't milked Theo enough. Jokes aside, it's pretty good video. Yeah, I suppose it is a good video. Yeah, I'm sub to the channel. Please make the community better. Thank you. Thanks you, Tony Panda. No idea who is Siraj. Yeah, he is a douchebag that got caught plagiarizing from actual computer science PhD students. I am working on a test project to land a job, but it was given to me 2 months ago. Thought it was hard back then, but I am working on it now. I am learning the stacks while building it. Great for you. Great for you. You can join my Discord server, Ebenezer, and you can ask me questions if you have any. My DMs are always open for you guys. Just Pay uses Haskell mostly for backend. Okay. You have a random rock at your desk. I mean, it's not a rock, but it's a wall embedded cupboard, which is built of cement and concrete. I will smash my head on it if I see this 1112 LPA bullshit again. Oh, happy to have you back, Server Ghost. Let's convince Sid to milk Theo more. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. Not into that kind of thing. Oh, maybe I misunderstood you. Like, what did you think, Server Ghost? What does milking Theo means? I meant to make him watch more videos. What are you thinking? Yeah, exactly. What did you think, Server? But yeah, I'm not having support from anyone, but I want to study. Currently completed MCA with 8.55 CGPA. Yeah, Praveen, then you're exactly like me. I have 8.3 CGPA from MCA. Why would I tell you, Server Ghost? You assumed something from milking Theo. What was it? Praveen, Bhaiya, I'm not having support from anyone. You have me, my guy. I'm here to support you. But I want to study. Currently completed MCA. What is it? Oh, you mean study and like skill up, basically. Yeah, go for it. Study developer documentation of whichever tech stack you like. Continue from there. Right?
Today, I want to discuss how I failed as a self-taught software engineer, and this will be sort of an unfiltered exposure of my experience attempting to break into the industry over the last 4 years, and how I technically did break in, but by my own standards, I've failed in that regard. I simply haven't achieved the result that I would consider validates all the hard work up to this point. What you have to understand about this industry is that it's an upside-down pyramid, and the demand is always going to be skewed toward the most experienced developers. That would be the top of the pyramid, the meatiest part. And I see this daily in my job search grind. I've sent out over 1,000 applications since last October and had 20 or so interviews. And I've noticed that I almost exclusively get interviews for senior positions. And the result of this is that I'm genuinely unqualified for a large number of the interviews I get as a mid-level engineer with only 3.5 years of experience. The idea of passing the type of interview that you're going to have for an experience, for a role that's looking for 8 or more years of experience is unlikely. It's rough. These are intense experiences. These are intense interviews. Anyone can.
I don't really agree with having 3.5 years of experience and then getting rejected. To me, that is highly unlikely. When I passed my second year of experience and I knew that I can officially say that I am more than a couple years experience, I was confident as hell. Like, I could crack any company at this point. Obviously, like, I knew that there could be companies that are too good for me. But the idea of landing a job was never foreign to me at that point. I thought that, okay, I have couple years of experience now. I can land a job and do something. if not get a very high paying job, I can at least land a job. So that I can't seem to relate to this. That he has 3.5 years of experience and he's still not able to land a job. But yeah, I'm a normal software engineer. What is a normal software engineer, bro? We are all normal software engineer. In Tech Mahindra, with 27K salary, how can I switch my job and increase my salary? Switch companies, basically, Bhavesh. Unless your manager gets a threat that you're about to quit your job, they're not going to pay you more. They will keep paying you 27K and until you stay at that job, right? So switch companies, basically, is what I mean to say. That is how you increase your salary.
See this when looking through a job website like LinkedIn or Indeed and see how prevalent senior positions are compared to mid-level or junior positions, hence the reverse pyramid. Almost all the opportunity is gate kept behind 5 to 10 years of experience and often an
No. Wrong analogy to say. No. You have to understand that companies, when they put out job listings, it's more like a wish list. It's not a mandatory thing that if you are seeking 5 years of experience, then you're not gonna accept 3 years of experience. So when you see a job listing, like they are requiring 7 years of experience or 10 years of experience, and you have like 2 years or 4 years or 6 years worth of experience, apply to them as well. There is no such thing called learning exponentially with years that you spend. I have seen 20 years experienced software engineers who have no idea what GitHub is. I have seen just 1 year experienced developers who are legends at the code at they write. I look at them and I think, how are they not getting paid in millions when they write code? So these year requirements, when you see in job listings, they are not mandatory requirements. They are more like a wish list. Company wishes to have 5 years of experienced developers, but they're not necessarily rejecting 3 or 4 years experienced guys. So if you see that, do apply to them as well.
extraordinary talent for writing code and understanding fundamental CS concepts. The reason for this is simple, though. I mean, senior developers are way more productive. It's not even close. An entry-level developer is not going to write good code, and they're going to rack up lots of technical debt, and a senior is probably going to have to come in and fix their work afterwards anyway. So neither big companies nor small companies are inclined to hire less experienced people.
No. Completely wrong thing to say. Large or small companies are not wanting to hire less experienced devs. Like, we don't get experienced out of thin air. We still have to spend time at companies. And his assumption that senior engineers write less technical debt. If anything, seniors write the most technical debt, because what they do is they construct a set of rules that you have to follow as juniors. I mean, them being seniors and you being junior, and you have to follow those rules. And when it reaches to a point where if anybody is looking for a job, one suggestion is go to conference meetups in your city if you have any. Yeah, that's a good advice. Yeah. Yeah. And when that project gets broken into, rules or regulations that are not aligning with the product requirements, at that point you reach a point where there is so much technical debt that it's almost impossible to get out of it. My company only hires inexperienced devs. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. There are so many companies that do that.
An apprentice mason, for example, may not lay as many bricks as cleanly, but the wall still gets built and it's strong as a result of the bricks and mortar themselves being reliable. However, within software, which is not a linear progress, if that wall were a software project, it might never get finished. Or they might lay the final brick only to realize that that brick invalidates a tremendous amount of the previous work. Timelines for software production are never sensible. A good rule of thumb is however long you think it's going to be, go ahead and multiply that by 3 just to protect yourself against the inevitable bugs that will come up. Next, let's talk about the bottom of the pyramid. If you're not willing to put in at least 3,000 hours, don't even get started. And 3,000 hours is just my barrier. For you, it might be 5,000, or maybe if you're really talented, a bit less. I began studying right after returning from Wuhan, China in 2019. I knew the pandemic was coming, so I quit my part-time jobs at the time and threw myself into software 15 hours a day, 6 days a week. I hit about 1,600 hours during that time, about 5.5 months. And then I got my first professional role. It was a shit job, working 60 plus hours a week for 32 grand a year and no benefits, and a wild lunatic for a CEO who he would use me and the lead dev as emotional sponges to complain about his boring life in the Midwest. I worked that job for 7 months before we all got laid off. The company imploded. But by the end of that, I had just about exceeded the 3,000 hour mark. And then that opened the door for me. That professional experience on my resume was critical. And then I was able to get my first real position in the industry. The previous shit job was just me setting foot at the very bottom of the pyramid, the sharpest point.
I think he's over analyzing his past, and he thinks that this is how it's supposed to be now. Like, because he went through bad experiences, that now he thinks that this is how the tech industry is. But it isn't. See, this is where like you have to be mentally strong. You have to, be resilient from these things. Like, he has a bad past, not a bad past, I would say a hard past, where he was getting paid less and he was getting less benefits and all. I went through the same things. My salary was 6,000 rupees a month. I think you guys know this already. But I didn't see it as, getting exploited, or tech industry is so crap and tech industry is so unfair and blah, blah, blah. I saw it as an investment. And if I met this guy in real life, this is what I will say to him, that look at these experiences as investment, so that it sets you off into making more money later. And the good thing with humble beginnings is that it makes you appreciate the things that you have now. This is something that I said yesterday on Discord, that I don't know what kind of a person I'd be if I was making 10 LPA from the very start of my career. I do not know if I could have my relatability to software engineers, juniors, and learners and students. If I was making a shit ton of money from the very beginning, I would completely think that this is how the world is supposed to be. I would feel entitled to money. I would think everybody should be making a crap ton of money in their jobs. And I think this is what happened to this guy. He went through bad experiences, and now he thinks that this is how the world is supposed to be. See, you have to be resilient. You have to be mentally strong with all these things. And this is where your passion comes in. If you are passionate about coding, you're not going to see these experiences as getting exploited or... Sorry about that. Like, you're not going to see these experiences as getting exploited or doing free work or anything. It's all a learning curve. It's all an investment, right?
This job was my first real step up the pyramid, and I call it real only because it was decent pay, 72 grand after a lot of negotiation, good benefits, work from home for a well-known Fortune 100 company, and it looks great on a resume even though the job itself was a disaster. That pay, however, was still half of what I consider a success in the industry, and my role was buried under 1,000 layers of incompetent management, corporate bureaucracy, and projects that moved at a ludicrously slow pace while using technology that lacked any real value in the industry. And of course, it was just as unstable as the last position. 2 years in, myself, a large part of my team, and my boss all got laid off. And that brings me to today, having failed probably about 24 interviews in the last few months. Again, many of those I simply wasn't qualified for. I'm beginning to wonder if this is an industry I can succeed in. If no one's willing to give a mid-level engineer a chance, then I can never really gain the experience I need to become senior. At this
What the hell was that? If nobody is willing to give a chance to mid-level engineers, like, what is he talking about? This is such victim mentality. Like, this is what this guy has. Good collab with Theo. The podcast video was hilarious, mate. Oh, thanks, Jerusalem. Thank you. But this is such a weak mentality to have. Like, nobody is willing to give a chance to... Yeah, sound like skill issues. Yeah, exactly. Maybe he's not a good team player. Maybe he lacks social skills. Maybe he has an attitude problem that he displays in interviews. Maybe he's not able to convince the interviewer that he is the best fit for the team. There are so many things outside of your coding skills that happen that determine that if you get the job. And I can't understand this mentality that nobody is willing to give a chance to mid-level engineers. Ugh.
Point, the experience I need can only be gotten within enterprise level project and through the guidance of extremely experienced engineers. I can't go from mid-level to senior working on personal projects. The projects will just never be complex enough. I'll never encounter the enormous variety and nuance of problems and to overcome those problems that I will in a professional environment. And at this point, I don't know if I'm being persistent or stubborn. Should I submit another 1,000 applications and inevitably
Yes, you should. You should. The idea is to keep applying. The idea is to keep applying until you get the job. That's the idea. There is no way out of this. There is no magic formula that can, help you out with these things. You have to face rejection. You have to face the unfairness. You have to face the randomness that this world has in the IT industry. Nothing is fair in IT. It is not a meritocracy. It's not anything. It doesn't owe you anything. It does not you are not entitled to have a job in the software engineering industry just because you know how to code. Sorry about that. You have to be resilient. You have to face rejections. You have to face the randomness of this industry, and you still have to keep going. And once you do land the job, then it's, yeah, you're there. Now make money and, do what you love. This is a bad attitude to have, honestly.
have a lot more failed interviews? Or should I say pivot to tech sales? I actually had an interview for a tech sales position just the other day. And frankly, I've always been told that I might do well in sales because I'm
Oh, feeling proud. You represent Kolkata to the whole world. Oh, thanks, Animesh. Happy to have you here. I can see his attitude in the video, to be honest. Yeah, it's a victim mentality, I would say. He's not strong mentally, right? What is your thoughts on Stefan Mischuk? You are not gonna let this slide, are you, Code Cracker? Stefan Mischuk, okay, I'll take a look at his channel. I interviewed with 2 companies, went well with engineers, but I messed up with founders, directors. One was due to my lack of Java experience. The other was async understanding. Okay, so that was coding related issues. Skill issue, yes, but I would expect a proper interview than just top 10x questions. Yeah, exactly. If you fail interview, just improve interview again, but that needs accepting that you have gaps in knowledge. Not just in knowledge, but knowledge, soft skills, team player, attitude. There are so many things. You can be the best coder in the room and still not end up getting a job. Because if you have a bad attitude and you think that you're superior to other people, then it will show in the interview. See, HR people are very good at analyzing your attitude in just 3 or 4 seconds. You know that phrase that you only have 2 seconds to create a first impression in somebody's mind. With HR people, it's like 1 second. They will look at you talking in just 1 second. They'll know what kind of person you are. And that's what it is. Animesh, you retracted your message, but no use. It's recorded. I thought getting job is 80% luck and 20% knowledge. I think it's opposite. It's 80% knowledge and 20% luck.
pretty charismatic. And right at the end of the interview, the CEO just offered me the job. He was like, you can start next week if you want it. I told him that I still have a lot of other engineering prospects, but if those prospects don't pan out, for example, this coming week I've got...
Don't say that. Don't say that. Never say that. Oh man, this makes so much sense. Here is a CEO getting him a job and he's like, I have other prospects, and if those don't pan out, then I'll choose you. Holy crap, this guy does not understand how corporate attitude works. Never let your employer think that they are the last option for you. Never let them think that. I think this guy threw his chances under the rug the moment he said that I have other prospects and if they don't pan out, I'll come to you. Holy crap. Never do this to an employer. Never do this. That's a surefire way to get rejected from a job. Surefire way.
Got 5 more interviews. 4 of them are for one company, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th round of one company. And then I've got another interview for a bank. But if those don't pan out, I probably will go into sales, even though, I don't have a lot of interest in that. But it is what it is. You need a job at the end of the day. If there's still nothing in
Oh, so he said he'll go into sales. Okay.
a few months, when my lease ends in May, I'll probably leave the country, honestly, just to radically reduce my cost of living. The next real point I want to make is that this is a game. Come ready to win or go home. And this is probably the most practical advice I can give people coming into this industry or who want to come into the industry. If you want to climb this pyramid, number one, the most valuable thing you can have is experience. Get a job, any job. It doesn't matter. Even if the job's shit, even if the technology is useless, even if the company implodes, having that professional experience on the resume is almost as significant as having a 4-year bachelor's degree in CS. I don't have a CS degree, but once I had that professional experience on my resume, nobody cared about me not having a degree anymore. So for at least the first few years, you have to prove to companies that you can work professionally, and no personal projects don't count. Nobody cares. And freelance work, ironically, it would only matter if it was extremely successful. And if you're extremely successful in freelance work, then you're probably not looking for a full-time job anyway, are you? Next is networking. Again, do you recognize, I'm not talking about hard skills.
Yeah, I am from Havda, Animesh. I think he's calling the corporate sector a pyramid is hitting me on a weird nerve. Why is he calling it a pyramid? But yeah, I agree that once you get experience, then nobody cares about the college that you went to. Nobody cares about your degree. Nobody cares how much marks you scored. Once you get experience, it's done. Now you can land jobs further in your career, basically. Sir, your views on that English is going to be new coding language. I don't understand what you mean, Tuji.
Skills here. I'm talking about getting that professional experience just to prove that you're not useless. Number 2 is networking. Climbing that pyramid is like finding a secret island that
Again, a pyramid. It is not a pyramid. I still don't understand what you mean, Tuji. Can you explain me callback concept? Yeah, sure. Reach out to me on Discord. I can explain there. There are definitely some companies that still care about college source. My friend works in one. Yeah, I suppose. But see, once you get experience, I'd say 80% companies don't care. Once they see that line written in your resume, that 4-year experience or 5-year experience, at that point, they don't care. I guess it can happen in scenarios where the supply is high, when there are so many interviews happening in that company. That's when they can make it a factor that, okay, this is a guy who has 5-year experience, but they didn't get that good scores. This is a guy that has 5-year experience that had good scores. So we are gonna choose this guy. It can happen, but I would say 80% times it doesn't happen. Nobody cares.
you can only get to if you already know the way. Your chances of even getting your resume seen by a human being is nearly zero without having someone you know in the company who can personally deliver your resume into the hands of hiring managers. Networking got me both of my last jobs. The thousands of applications I submitted got me nothing. Next is popular technologies. You have to accept that the market wants what it wants, and you have to lean in that direction. And yes, it's entirely likely that you will occasionally waste your time studying something that people say they want, but they don't actually. For me, that was cloud computing. It took hundreds of hours of studying for me to attain the 4 certifications I have.
Yeah, I suppose that's a fair point. You have to pick something that has a lot of industry behind it. You have to pick something that, that pays a lot in the current tech market, and you have to be flexible to be able to switch to other technologies if needed. I want to switch job, but I cannot prepare while working. I don't know DSA also. Should I take break from job and prepare DSA? No, no, I would never say such a thing. Don't take break from your job. Keep the cash flowing and invest your weekends in learning DSA. I believe in you. You can pull this off, peanut butter, and and you can spend 6 months, 8 months, 10 months learning DSA. Couple hours every weekend. I suppose it will compound, and you will have better understanding, and still having a job. So don't leave your job. By the way, sir, I'm very indecisive choosing skills, sources, courses. Which path to choose? Developer documentation. Find a programming language whose syntax you like, whose design patterns you like. Stick to developer documentation. You should be good. I worked on a company. I'm about to 1 year experience. Now my company want to cutting cost. So maybe in next 2 months I will be jobless. Already released 11 employee. Oh shoot. Sorry to hear that, Animesh. Yes, you should start looking for jobs. Yeah.
Have 2 for Amazon, 2 for Google Cloud. But those certifications aren't worth the digital paper they're printed on. Nobody cares about them. I mean, my resume, it hasn't made a lick of difference having those certifications. It's something that companies claim that they want, but when it actually comes to hiring people, they don't give a shit. Finally, and this is the ultimate kick in the balls in terms of practical advice, and I'm sorry to do this to you, but you have to grind algorithms. If you have a natural talent in math, then maybe only a few hundred practice challenges are required. If you're not so math inclined like myself, expect this to be a permanent fixture in your life, a habit that you take up and maintain throughout the entirety of your career. At least 25% of the interviews I fail as a result of being hit with an algorithm challenge that just goes right over my head. Hell, sometimes it's written so complexly that I don't even have the reading comprehension to understand the question, never mind the math skills. The reason that this is such an insult is because you will never realistically have cause to use any of these fancy sorting algorithms or data structures. And in any real world scenario where it's complex enough that you might need something really nuanced, you'll have huge amounts of time to study a focused solution for that particular problem, and you'll likely even be collaborating with multiple engineers on said solution.
But then I can argue that if you are a job seeker, then also you have a ton of time. So you can grind algorithms by yourself, or a group of friends that are interested in it. So yeah, I suppose it's a fair point where he says that you have to grind algorithms. So learning DSA, basically, I wouldn't say it's 100% necessary. I would say it's like 90-95%, more like 95 to 98% necessary. But yeah, fair point.
So a test to see if you can pull that solution out of your ass under pressure in 6 minutes or less is totally unrelated to your ability to do the actual job. And it's just a lazy way for companies to filter out 90% of people. And yes, I have had interview assessments that gave me as little as 3 minutes per leak code style question. 3 minutes. Completely unreasonable. But in the end, keep in mind before trying to enter tech that you'll work harder than you've ever worked before. And this is all mental, not physical. And you can say what you want about the David Goggins of the world, but I will die on this hill. Mental challenge is more difficult than physical challenge. We can all agree that doing planks and lifting weights is difficult. Running is difficult. Fatigue makes cowards of men is the saying. But slamming your head up against a mental challenge for thousands and thousands of hours with no guarantee of, forget about success, no guarantee of progress, that takes an exceptional level of discipline and commitment.
See, this is where I'll go back to my passion statement. If you have passion for software engineering, you will spend years studying it. I spent 8 years studying computer science before I understood, okay, these are the things that happen. Grinding lead code, I would say it is a quite important skill that you have to learn, but there are years in front of you that you can invest. So if you are in college, if you are in school, start now. Start grinding DSA. Why need DSA not in FANG when we do web dev? See, companies want to make sure that they are hiring a good person for the job, in which case a college degree, understanding of DSA and understanding of web dev, all of it is necessary. They need to make sure that you are the correct person to get hired if you have these qualities in you, right? You cannot just say that I don't know DSA, but I know web dev. Will I be able to land a job? You shouldn't ignore DSA just like that. You should learn it because it will only increase your chance of getting jobs. You cannot control your attitude or your confidence or your nervousness or your anything, basically physical trait, when you are in an interview room. But you can control the learnings that you go through. You can control how much DSA you go through. You can control how much web dev you go through. So if you can control it, I'd say go for it. Try building projects and use data structures in them. This way you can learn by coding. You're doing what you like. Yeah, exactly. That's a good advice, Ronak. Sham SSK says, what do you think about remote jobs? I think they are dope. They are dope, but uh, unfortunately, that's not the reality we live in now. Remote jobs are almost over, and people are getting called back to their offices. But if you can land a remote job, that's good for you. It cuts out the commute from your life. And I hate commuting. I cannot stand the traffic outside for me to be able to go to my job. You know, you need DSA in web dev, even if you not use it. Just having the understanding how underlying system works, you can make much better decisions. Yeah, exactly. You absolutely need data structures. You need web dev experience, and you need a college degree. You need all of them so that your chances of landing a job can be maximized. Although that won't guarantee that you will absolutely land a job, but in our lives, we want to maximize our chances of achieving the job. Right? I don't like this opinion that dev is somehow different from DSA and you can only pick one. Yeah, exactly. The question DSA versus dev is such a bullshit
You're going
question.
to experience depths of frustration and tedium that you didn't think were possible, and you'll need an embarrassment of luck to land your first couple of roles. But even if all of that fails, remember, failure doesn't define you as a person. And if nothing else, you've learned a fascinating, powerful knowledge base that will better help you understand this modern world and how it works, and that is of intrinsic value to your life. So be sure to subscribe and like for more. And
This is a question that is so stupid. DSA versus dev. Such a stupid question. This is like right off the bat. This is such a stupid question. Is DSA worth it in 2024? Is web development worth it in 2024? DSA versus development. It's never a versus. It's never a versus. It's always and. DSA and development. College degree and DSA and development. You need all of it. Dev is like cricket. DSA is like gym and fitness. Yeah, exactly. If you don't do gym and fitness, you're not going to be good at cricket, even if you play 500 matches. And the same thing is with gym and fitness. If you do gym and fitness, you're not going to be good at playing cricket. So you need both of them. It's a stupid question to say that DSA versus development. Crap question. Can we get job with web development only? Yes, you can. You will face problems because the moment a DSA question is thrown at you and you will panic and everything, they will know that this guy doesn't know DSA. So you can get view seeker Indian YouTube tech influencer. Yeah, I suppose, yeah. You just called me view seeker Indian YouTube tech influencer. Basic DSA with web development. Yeah, sure. Basic DSA still works. I'd say go for intermediate level. Yeah, should work. Okay, guys. This is it for the stream. Thank you everybody for sticking around. Happy that you guys came here, and I will see you in the next stream. Thank you everybody. Bye bye. Oh, not me. Okay, Animesh. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay. Thanks for clarifying it. Okay, guys. Bye bye. I'll see you in the next stream.